Clerk, roll call has been taken.
Yes.
All right. Move on to adoption of the agenda.
I so move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Mr. Barrington's made the motion. Mr. Roberts made the second to the motion. Any additions or corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried by all. Approval of March 8th, 2022 minutes. We get a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Motion made by Mr. Barrington,
Second.
second by Mr. Herder. Any additions or corrections to that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On to authorization to pay the bills, Mr. Fichet.
Your Honor, I move to approve the pay bills in the amount of $1,170,612.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Fichet, seconded by Mr. Herder to pay the bills in the amount of $1,170,612. Any additions or corrections to that? Please cast your ballots. Motion passed by all. All right, moving right along into public comment. Do we have any public comment? No public comment? All right. We'll continue on to standing and special committees. Board of Public Works, Mr. Barrington.
Thank you. Board of Public Works met on Monday, April 4th, 2022. Members present: Barrington, Zog, Herder, Dorsey, Ritchie, Mayor Bisa, Tim Roberts, John Hass, and Steve Grote. We also had 12 people here for the hearing for ATV, UTVs. Meeting called to order at 5:15. Public input, at that time there was none. Wastewater treatment plant update, we looked at there, we saw nothing wrong. That was approved, other than the fact that influent flows have doubled due to the rain and the high water. The next was a review of Municipal Code 9.49, all-terrain utility terrain vehicles. Adam Dobert with the New London ATV Club started off the discussion with a handout noting the many benefits of the New London Club. Pete Gentelman, Vice President of the club, built upon Adam's presentation, explaining the Trail Ambassador Program in New London and surrounding communities. This is a group of trained volunteers who educate community ATV users on the local laws, safety, and responsibility of ATV, UTV riding. The club asked the board to consider 3 changes to New London's laws, including the removal of the seasonal ban, allowing 24-hour access, and adding Highway T in the city limits where the speed limit is 35 miles an hour. A public hearing was opened by Mr. Barrington at 5:43 p.m. 2 community members spoke, noting their concerns with ATV, UTV riding in the city. One specifically concerned with riders in the back of Hatton Park, in which motor vehicles are prohibited. Number 2 was noise issues. Number 3, excessive speed on city roads that have no sidewalk. They were concerned walkers and children. 2 other community members then spoke as advocates for year-round ATV, UTV riding in the city, noting that it is a great way to meet public, and ATV riding is no different than motorcycles and trucks. Public hearing was closed at 5:56. Chief Slater provided enforcement information regarding ATV, UTV use in the past year. There has been 1 accident. There's some damage to 2 city parks. There were various noise complaints and overall 15 stops by officers for violations. Mayor Herder then spoke as an advocate, stating he would like to see the City of New London collaborate with the ATV UTV Club and to continue to be educated and updated throughout the year. Additional discussion took place and resulted in 3 motions to direct staff modifying the city code as follows. Mr. Zog moved, second by Dorsey, to open designated ATV, UTV trails 365 days per year in the city of New London. Motion carried by all. Mr. Zog moved, second by Herder, to open ATV, UTV 24 hours per day. Motion carried 8-2. No votes from Besaw and Barrington. Mr. Dorsey moved, second by Zog, to open County Trunk T north of Industrial Loop Road, Beckard Road to ATVs, UTVs. Basically what this is Mill Street and Beacon Avenue. Motion carried by all. An ordinance will be presented at the next meeting identifying the changes for consideration. Next, we recommend to council an agreement for title searches on the 2024 Downtown Street Reconstruction Project. Mr. Hirth explained that title searches will be needed to be completed from adjacent properties on North Water Street for the 2024 project to identify if there are any conflicts or easements that will affect the street reconstruction. Motion made by Herder, second by Zog, to approve Evans title to perform title searches for the 2024 street reconstruction project. Motion carried by all. The next was authorize additional work by Heritage Research LTD in the amount not to exceed $7,980.15 for required section 106 evaluations for the 2024 Downtown Street Reconstruction Project. In phase 1 of the historical study, it was determined that the Grand Opera House, later called Grand Theater, and the former City Hall buildings are buildings that are potentially eligible to be added to the historic registry. A determination of the National Registry eligibility study needs to be completed at this point to fully determine that eligibility and ensure that efforts will be made to mitigate any action that would make the structure ineligible. Motion made by Herder, second by Dorsey, to hire Heritage Research LTD for the follow-up historical study evaluations in the amount not to exceed $7,980.15. Motion carried by all. Next was the director's report. The director's memo was included in the agenda packet and reviewed by the committee. Service anniversary, Tim O'Brien, the city mechanic, 2 years on March 30th, 2022. One note, Mr. Hirth explained he received an email from the Department of Transportation with a state municipal agreement that the city of New London was awarded more than $2 million grant for future reconstruction of Oshkosh Street. Future agenda items, discussion about a large item disposable services with GFL. Being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 6:37. I move to approve Evans title to perform title searches for the 2024 Downtown Street Reconstruction Project.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Barrington, seconded by Mr. Herder, to approve Evans title to perform title searches for the 2024 Downtown Street Reconstruction Project. Any additions or any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried, 8-0.
I move to authorize additional work by Heritage Research Limited in the amount not to exceed $7,980.15 for required Section 106 evaluations for the 2024 downtown street reconstruction project.
Motion been made by Mr. Barrington. Who seconded that? Mr. Haas? Yes. For authorization of additional work by Heritage Research LTD in the amount not to exceed $7,980.15 for required section 106 evaluation for the 2024 downtown street reconstruction project. Any other comments? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried, 8-0.
And that is all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Barrington. We'll cruise right into the Finance and Personnel with Mr. Fichet.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Finance and Personnel Committee met Wednesday, April 6th. The meeting was called to order at 5:15 PM by Chairman Dorsey. Members present were Dorsey, Fichet, Barrington, Roberts, and Besaw. Others present were Mayor Mark Herter, Alderman Bernie Ritchie, Alderman John Haas, City Administrator Chad Horth, and Finance Director Judy Radke. Administrator Horth presented the offer to purchase request by Andrew and Tracy Johnson of 201 South Pearl Street. The contract was entered into in 2017, giving them an option to Inspire and Lifestyle LLC Longevity to purchase the parcel for the set price of $50,000. A motion was made by Barrington and seconded by Fichet to recommend to council to accept the offer to purchase of 201 South Pearl Street by the Johnsons in the amount of $50,000. The motion was carried 8-0. Administrator Horth stated the agreement presented will be for the second phase of service for the city's comprehensive plan, which began in 2021. A motion was made by Besaw and seconded by Roberts to recommend to council approval of the agreement with Cedar Corporation to update the City of New London's comprehensive plan. The motion carried 8-0. A discussion was led by Mr. Horth on employee compensation and recruitment retention planning. In the past, the city has hired consultants to analyze the compensation of city employees with very little movement forward to bring employees up to match the results of those studies. Although the city will look at a number of ways to compensate an employee that has no cost to the city, Mr. Horth requested an internal study be completed to save those consultant dollars and to take a look at bringing wages more in line with those in comparable job duties. The committee was in agreement with the process, and Administrator Horth will continue to keep the committee updated as the city moves forward through the process. The motion was made by Barrington and seconded by Besaw to move into closed session per 19.85(1)(e), deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business, whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. That motion was carried 8-0. A motion was later made by Mr. Barrington and seconded by Roberts to move into open session, carried 8-0. A motion was made by Roberts and seconded by Besaw to recommend to council approval for an agreement to hire Quarles and Brady to assist the city in creating a developer's agreement. That motion carried 8-0. The finance director's monthly reports were presented. Finance director's report was discussed. There being no further comment or further business, a motion was made by Roberts and seconded by Fichet to adjourn at 6:33 PM. The motion was carried 8-0. The next regularly scheduled Finance Committee meeting will be held in the council chambers on May 4th at 5:15 PM. Next, Your Honor, I would move to approve the license list as presented.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by Fichet and Besaw for approval of the license list. Please cast your ballots. Motion carried, 8-0.
Next, I move to consider adopting an ordinance amending 2.01 of the municipal code relating to the schedule of regular council meetings. And this would be the second reading.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Fichet, seconded by Mr. Barrington for consider adopting ordinance amending 2.01 of the municipal code relating to the schedule of regular council meetings in the second reading. Any additions or corrections or further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried, 8-0.
Next, I make a motion to consider accepting the offer to purchase of 201 South Pearl Street.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Fache, seconded by Mr. Herter. Consider accepting offer to purchase of 201 South Pearl Street. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried by all.
And lastly, Your Honor, I would make a motion for the approval of agreement with Cedar Corporation to update the comprehensive plan.
Second. Motion been made by Mr. Fache, and I didn't catch who second, Mr. Ritchie. Approval of agreement with Cedar Corporation to update comprehensive plan. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion also carried by all. Is that it, Mr. Fache?
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Moving right along into Park and Recreation, Mr. Besaw.
The April meeting was canceled. The next scheduled meeting is to be held April 19th.
All right. Continuing on, the Planning Commission, Mr. Besaw. You carry
Thank you,
this.
Your Honor. The Planning Commission met on Thursday, March 24th. Those in attendance were Besaw, Bessett, Gabbert, Mayor Mark Herter, Suzie Steingraber, and Jamie Walbrook. Others in attendance were City Administrator Chad Harth, Building Inspector, Zoning Administrator David Vinson, Alderman Dave Dorsey, Alderman John Hass, and Steve Grote, Eric Fall and Ken Jaworski, City Corp, Phil Cawson, and Harry Allen of Ellers. The meeting was called to order at 5:15. Group participated in the Pledge of Allegiance. A motion was made by Bessett to adopt the agenda and seconded by Gabbert, was carried by all. The February 24th, 2022 meeting minutes were reviewed. A motion to accept the minutes was made by Walbrook and seconded by Steingraber. Motion was carried by all. Phil Cawson, a representative of Ellers Advisors, addressed the group in regards to the TID 6 Tax Increment District. He provided an overview of the various components of the plan. The required public comment portion of the TID was open to the public for discussion and comments. The audience was queried to engage in dialogue, but after no questions or dialogue was presented, after 3 invitations, the public comments portion of the agenda was closed. A motion was made by Gabbert for a resolution to move the TID along to the next step in the process. It was seconded by Steingraber. It was carried by all. The CSM for Domino's Pizza at 400 North Shawano Street was presented by Dave Vinson, which would combine all 3 parcels currently owned by CDA Pizza, so business could run from one unified parcel. A motion was made by Bessett to approve the CSM and seconded by Walbrook, carried by all. A resolution to adopt an amendment to the City of New London's 2030 Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 8, was introduced. A motion to approve the resolution was made by Gabbert, seconded by Steingraber, and carried by all. A resolution to adopt the amendment to the City of New London's 2030 Comprehensive Plan, Public Participation Plan, was introduced. A motion to approve the resolution was made by Walbrook, seconded by Mayor Herter, carried by all. Ken Jaworski and Eric Fowler, Cedar Corp, addressed the group for the year 2040 Comprehensive Plan Update Kickoff. A project overview was provided, including a timeline, responsibilities, and expectations. They further discussed a citizen engagement survey, and thirdly, they performed an exercise named SWOT, Strength, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats. The entire group participated in providing dialogue relating to each of the SWOT items. A review of future agenda items was discussed, including an IPMC International Property Maintenance Code. Continued discussion on that project. The next Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, April 28th at 5:15. A motion was made to adjourn by Gabbert, second by Steingraber, approved by all. The meeting was adjourned at 7:23. Your Honor, do you want to introduce Phil Cawson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Besaw. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Phil Cawson from Ellers. And would you like to present on line item 2? Hold on, Phil, you're still muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There you go.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Phil Dawson and Barry Allen from Ellers. Here with you tonight, I wanted to give you a quick update and also provide a quick overview of TID number 6. As was just reported, we did hold a public hearing. Planning Commission held a public hearing. And we had the Planning Commission approve a resolution to create tax increment district number 6. That brings it to the city council for your action tonight. There is a third action, yet after that, there is a group called the Joint Review Board, which is a representative of the school, county, technical college, the city, and a citizen member that will still meet after this meeting, assuming that it's approved, and will take action on this tax increment district as well. A quick overview of the plan is that this is really what I'll call a plan that is pretty straightforward. It's really to assist Titan Industries with their expansion in the city. This will be tax increment district number 6. It'll be an industrial tax increment district, meaning it's going to serve an industrial area. Compromises, there's 21.4 acres of land located around Titan Industries and around Titan Industries. And again, to support Titan Industries' $1.7 million proposed expansion into their site. We have, as part of the plan, I've been working through the initial steps of a development agreement that will spell all of this out, but we do estimate expenditures to be made for this expansion in 3 different areas. The first is $150,000 direct incentive that will go to the company. It'll be a reimbursement out of increment. Increment is additional taxes they pay. Will be reimbursed back to them over time until they hit the $150,000 incentive. There's stormwater improvements needed at in this general area, and will benefit Titan Industries when they are made. That's about $130,000. And then finally, there's a $25,000 road repair project that's been identified as well. So those are the primary projects that will be funded as part of the tax increment district. We expect to see the $1.7 million expansion value out at a lesser amount, which is customarily what we see for industrial property throughout the state of Wisconsin. We're estimating about 40 cents on the dollar is what we'll see in the way of valuation there. So we're expecting valuation of about $680,000. Hopefully it'll be greater than that. But that's kind of a minimum threshold that will be in that development agreement I talked about as well. This is an industrial district, meaning it can stay open for a maximum of 20 years. And we are projecting right now it'll take 19 of those 20 years to pay off the full amount of the cost. If the valuation comes in greater, we would close out the district earlier. In the project plan, there are a series of maps. And those maps really kind of give an idea of the area that is being brought into the tax increment district. The goal was to bring in an area a little bit larger than just Titan Industries, because there are some vacant parcels around that area that we hope would be able to be expanded on and or new business brought to those areas. So there's a hope that we'll see additional development occur in and around this general area as well. Once the stormwater improvements are made and the road is repaired, that will provide hopefully a little more incentive for expansions to occur in the area. Just a little reminder of TIF, because this, in kind of short order, the city has gone through the 3rd tax increment district in a relatively short period of time. If you recall, there were 2 other tax districts put in place, really to assist with primarily housing and retail. This is really more geared towards industrial growth in the city, which will hopefully generate additional jobs in this area as well. So a very straightforward project plan. There will be a separate development agreement that will come in front of the city council at a later date that will spell out all of the details that I just went through with you. It'll have a minimum value guarantee. It'll spell out how that incentive gets paid. And it'll also lay out other criteria that are needed to be met by Titan Industries to receive that incentive. That's all forthcoming, and is being worked on currently, just not available for approval this evening. So again, tonight, the second of the third approvals needed for this to move forward, to help assist with the local industry with their expansion, and to take care of some public infrastructure needs in the area.
Thank you, Phil. Mr. Besaw.
I look for consideration of a resolution designating proposed boundaries and approving a project plan for tax increment district number 6.
Motion made by Mr. Besaw, second by Mr. Ritchie for consideration of resolution designating proposed boundaries and approving a project plan for tax increment district number 6. Any additions or corrections or comments? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried, 8-0.
Thank you.
I would look for consideration of a resolution amending City of New London's year 2030 comprehensive plan.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Besaw, seconded by Mr. Herter for consideration of resolution amending City of New London year 2030 comprehensive plan. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried, 8-0. I'd also like to thank Phil Collins, if he's still there, Phil Collins. Phil Cosson, if he's still there.
Also look for consideration of a resolution adopting an updated public participation plan for the year 2040 comprehensive plan update.
Motion been made by Mr. Besaw, seconded by Mr. Ritchie for consideration of resolution adopting an update public participation plan for the year 2040 comprehensive plan update. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots.
That was Richie on the second.
Mr. Ritchie. Motion carried by all. Is that it, Mr. Besaw?
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Besaw. All right, cruising right into Economic Development Committee, Mr. Fichet.
Thank you, Your Honor. The New London Economic Development Committee met on Tuesday, March 29th. Members present were Chairman Dorsey. He attended via Zoom. Mr. Bill Bishop, John Fichet via Zoom, April Kapitsky, Elena Wolf entered at 5:30 p.m., Alderman Zog, and Alderman Haas. Excused were Mr. Lathrop, Mr. Thompson. Others present, Mayor Mark Herter via Zoom, Tim Roberts, Steve Grote via Zoom, City Administrator Chad Horth, Jeff Hunchke, and Shirley Sternberg. The meeting was called to order by Vice Chair Zog, as Chairman Dorsey was attending Zoom at 5:16 p.m. Motion by Kapitsky, second by Bishop to approve the agenda, carried by all. The January 25th, 2021 minutes were received, reviewed, and approved by Haas and Kapitsky, carried by all. At the January meeting, a question was raised during the discussion of the 2024 downtown street reconstruction project, and if the downtown river alley was going to be included in that construction. It was noted that no construction is currently planned for the river alley at this time. Mr. Horth took the opportunity to collect some of the research that has been done on the alley and presented a dozen documents of past planning efforts for the river alley, the river wall, and general waterfront plans. Some of these plans dated back quite a while. The committee members all agreed that the river is an asset to the city and should continue to develop. Mr. Horth pointed out, while there is still plenty of things that can be done, not to forget the efforts and finances the city has already put into beautifying and increasing access to the river, including the shoreline restorations on the south side of the river at the Berniger Riverwalk, numerous other improvements and replacements of the river wall, and the addition of the ADA accessible fishing and transient dock at St. John's Park. The committee will continue to think of ways to capitalize on the assets the Wolf River can provide. Kapitsky and Mr. Horth provided an update on the $10,000 Main Street Bounce Back Grant, providing a list showing 10 New London businesses who received this grant, but know of several others that have applied for and may likely receive it as well. Mr. Horth provided a brief report and progress on the two existing TID districts the city created, TID number 4 and TID 5, as well as information for the proposed TID 6, which we just learned about some from Mr. Cossins. April Kapitsky gave the chamber director's business report, which was a lot of positive news and a lot of new information. The business updates, April informed the committee that 218 West North Water Street has changed their name from simply Repurposed to Bluebird Boutique. And next, 106 West North Water Street, MJ Treasures, has closed and has been reopened as Tessie's Crafty Creations. The boutique formerly called Bomb Bomb at 1821 North Shawano Street has closed but reopened as a salon. 200 West North Water Street has been purchased and is being remodeled. The building known as Bucky's at 815 North Shawano Street has been purchased. The previous staff have moved on, and it's not known what the future of the building will be. Next, she reported the building at 320 South Pearl Street, previously Holistic Health Spa, has been resold, and as of this time, it appears a financial advisor will be taking over at the location. Several of the employees at Holistic Health Wellness Spa will be moving into the building at 315 Wapaka Street. And lastly, she reported there are two commercial listings in New London, 310 West North Water Street and 1919 North Shawano Street. City Administrator's report, Mr. Horth reported that he and Chairman Dorsey will be attending a conference on April 7th and 8th talking about the worker shortages in Wisconsin. On February 16th, the Fox Cities Chamber held a webinar titled Hidden Workers and the Post-COVID Workforce. Mr. Horth provided a link for viewing a recording of it. Mr. Horth showed a picture of a new mobile career app the Job Center of Wisconsin is offering to individuals and businesses throughout the state. The committee reviewed speakers and agenda items for future meetings, and under public input, Mr. Jeff Hunskey suggested getting drone footage of the river alley to assist in future planning efforts for the alley. He also suggested considering relocating the power lines in the alley and find out what it would take to allow more food and beverages in the back of those businesses. He also asked if there was a way to add a deck off the back river wall to utilize it more. The next committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 26, 2022 at 5:15 p.m. There being no further business, it was moved by Fache, seconded by Haas to adjourn at 6:03 p.m. Motion was carried by all. And you'll note in your packet minutes from the Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation, and that is all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Fache. Moving into minutes and reports, they will stand as read and distributed in your packets. And we'll slide on down to reports of officers on recent events and announcements to the public. We'll start off with the mayor's report, and I have a proclamation for this evening. Tree City, USA. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are renewable resources, giving us paper, wood for our fires, fuel for our wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic value of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, I, Mark Herter, Mayor of the City of New London, do hereby proclaim April 29th, 2022 as Arbor Day in the City of New London. I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. And with that, I'd also like to wish everybody a happy Easter this coming weekend. And congratulate Earl Waters for his longtime service and hopefully a longtime retirement, as this is his last council meeting. So, thank you, Earl. And that is all that I have, so we will move right into City Administrator, Mr. Hirth.
Thank you, Your Honor. First off, we've gotten a bunch of phone calls recently. It sounds like some of the local garbage collection services have been adding a fuel fee to their bill, and we've been getting people calling the city wondering how they could do that, because the perception is it's a city contract. So just to reiterate, it's not a city contract. Everybody's set up to find their own garbage collection service to whatever company they'd like to do. If you have any questions on your bill, please contact your garbage collection service directly. It is not a city contract, so we've been getting quite a few calls on that. I will also take care of the Public Works and Parks and Rec reports tonight because we're a little bit short on staff. Public Works, our 2022 curbside spring yard waste pickup begins May 2nd and runs through May 20th. Refer to the pickup schedule on the city's website. We've got the city set up in different zones, so you can refer to the website to see what zone your property is in and what day of the week we will be picking up your curbside brush and lawn clippings or leaves. We also have several positions that we're looking to fill on the city's website, including 2 full-time park caretakers currently, seasonal street laborers, a part-time facility laborer, and seasonal umpires. So if anybody's interested in any employment with the City of New London, I'll recommend that they go to the city's website and see what positions we have open, and you have the ability to apply right online. In the recreation area, first off, at the New London Aquatics and Fitness Center, we have our underwater Easter egg hunt. That's this Friday, April 15th, from 1:15 to 3:15. Admission is $2, and everyone goes home with a bag of goodies. Then on Saturday, April 16th, Morgan has her Great Egg Hunt at the green space immediately west of the Washington Center Gym. That starts at 11 o'clock a.m. And it'll be great weather, right? Yep, exactly. Registration for the following are now open for summer programming classes: Camp Hatton, volleyball, basketball, Craft It, adult co-ed volleyball, a June home alone babysitting course, youth fishing day, and kids rummage sale. For more information, please go to the city's website or call our Park and Rec office at 982-8521. Want to let everybody know that starting in May, to remind everybody that starting in May, the New London Council meetings will be held on the 3rd Tuesday of the month. So if you're watching us online or on the cable access channel now, you obviously know that we've been running our meetings on the 2nd Tuesday. Starting in May, we are going to be running on the 3rd Tuesday of month. So wait one more week for the monthly council meetings. And then lastly, I think most of you in the council probably know already, but we had our First State Bank had a press conference today. They had an announcement that they are going to create and build a new corporate headquarters in the downtown, and they are also donating the current building to the new London Public Library for the new library. So the plan for that is, as you guys all know, that the annex project that they were looking at doing across the street is now turning into a one facility project. They're going to move the library and the annex programming that they were planning into the First State Bank building. So a great announcement we had today. It was a great press release, a conference. And we thank First State Bank for their great donation and are excited for the progress and the dedication to stay in downtown New London. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Earth. Move on to Utilities Manager, Mr. Bassett.
Thank you, Your Honor. Water crews responded to a water main break on March 26th at 1513 Oriole Street. Hats off to our crews. They restored that service in 3 hours. Electric crews responded to an outage at Ort Trucking on April 5th. Crews found that service to be faulted at the bottom of the pole and repaired the service. The utilities will be flushing hydrants starting April 19th, and we're going to be performing for the first time directional flushing April 25th. I urge our customers, if they have dirty water during that time, to reach out to the office. We'll keep them up to date as best we can. We've never done directional flushing before, so we don't have an anticipated start and stop time for our customers. Everybody's always concerned about how long that takes, so I just urge them to call the office during that process, and we can hopefully update our customers. The utility was informed by the DNR the voluntary PFAS testing that we're going to be performing is going to be done on our city in August. And I'm very pleased to announce that Mike Pinch was awarded the 2022 Water Operator of the Year by the Wisconsin Rural Water Association for District 1. And I'd also like to recognize Matt Abba for 2 years of service with New London Utilities. That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Bassett. Chief of Police, Mr. Schluter.
Thank you, Your Honor. We had one anniversary, Luke Curtis, 4 years. And then I was also approached one of the council members tonight about a speeding issue over on Wyman Street by Laura and Martin. And we'll definitely put that out to our officers. And I also want to remind the public that when you have a situation come up, please give us a call at the police department directly at 982-8505. It's the quickest way for us to respond to anything. Don't call City Hall. Don't talk to a city council member if it's something that you want us to address. And we'll take a look at it. Every time we get a call for extra patrol and stuff, we put it out to our officers right away by email so that everyone in the department knows about it, and we give that area a little bit extra patrol. So that's about all I got tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And Fire Chief, Mr. Wilfer.
Thank you, Your Honor. So with the spring being here and summer soon to be here, just a reminder, prior to any outdoor burning in the city of New London, please go to the city website and refer to the burning ordinance for restrictions and guidelines. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Wilfer. Next up is our city clerk.
I just wanted to draw attention in your council packets to the election results. They were missing a field that has been corrected on the website. That missing information has been included. It's available on the website, and that information has been shared with all those present today. And then we will have after this, the election, we do now have a vacancy for the one-year term in District 2. So our May council meeting, we will have an appointment for that vacancy for 11 months from May till next April. So I'd encourage anyone who's interested in filling that vacancy that lives in District 2 and is over the age of 18 to submit a letter of interest to the clerk's office by Thursday, May 12th. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, clerk. And before we adjourn, getting to think about our city attorney retiring with your long distinguished service to the city, how long have you served as city attorney?
Well, it's been 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
in 1982. I want to say it was always an honor to say that I was a city attorney. And I worked with a lot of wonderful people, staff, alderpersons, democracy at its best.
Well, thank you for your time.
Great.
Wish you the best in retirement. With that, we will look for a motion to adjourn. Motion been made by Mr. Ritchie, and who seconded? Mr. Barrington? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We're adjourned.